Our job is to stay around, right? That's just how I look at it. I probably wouldn't have said those words so many years ago, but I'm saying them now. So please don't hate me for it.
The reality TV show Deadliest Catch has captured fans for years with its nail-biting accounts of life and death on the sea and the perilous trade of crab fishing. There is a lot to watch on the show, but mysteriously, there's a lot of fighting behind the scenes between captains and fierce storms, mechanical failures, and rebellions of their own crew members. These briny buccaneers risk their lives for the mythical King and the Opilio crabs. However, the truth behind this reality show is far from glamorous. There are crew members fighting addictions to captains facing legal issues. So, let's dive in to reveal some dark secrets about the show Deadliest Catch.
I'm gonna slap him right now.
Technically, he was here first, wasn't he?
I don't care who's first. If you're gonna be that quick about it, you're stalking. You understand what I'm saying? That's not a coincidence.
A lot of the cast members of the show have changed over its 13 seasons, and most of them were largely associated with thrilling stories. Addiction has been a recurring problem in the cast and crew, and it resulted in several instances that involved Elliot Neese, Captain Jake Harris, and Nick McGlasson. Neese was kicked off the show and sent to rehab, whereas Harris had legal problems to do with illicit substances. McGlasson had problems with addiction. He described his transition from a badass of the Bering Sea to a full-fledged addict. Looking at his life and experience, McGlasson admitted that his passion for life had been hidden from him and his ability to live had been taken away. He revealed that he had been at war with his addiction, which had been winning. Captain Elliot Neese stepped down from the wheel of the saga during the 11th season of Deadliest Catch and departed the ship, leaving viewers with questions as to why he left so suddenly. The rumor that he had an addiction problem was further fueled by the speculation in the tabloids. Neese did so in a May 2015 tweet, admitting that he had entered a 60-day program at Passages Malibu for an unspecified problem. He admitted having issues, but claimed he gained a new perspective on things after a stay at Passages. Neese's recovery pathway was not without difficulties. In 2017, Neese confessed on Instagram that he had relapsed and was celebrating his 90 days clean. Although this was a setback, he was relatively low-key on social media and would occasionally post pictures of his pet rabbits and purchases related to sports, which may not include products from Sportsman's Warehouse. In 2019, he posted to Facebook that the retailer refused to sell him a firearm, which he claimed was on layaway. Rumor has it that Neese might return to the show, which made him famous. In 2017, Deadliest Catch executive producer Decker Watson tweeted about his efforts to have Neese come back for the 13th season. However, according to reports, these attempts were not successful. Neese's journey has been visible to the public. It had a mix of challenges and struggles, but this story still reflects the intricacies of addiction recovery. The cases of substance-related issues do not end with the cast of Deadliest Catch. In 2010, the show's production manager, Matthew Schneider, had a very serious legal issue as he was charged with using and selling illicit substances. The charges came from an undercover operation, where Schneider delivered approximately $300 worth of these substances to an undercover officer. The operation was part of a larger sting, which resulted in the arrest of 18 people. Records of the law court showed that not only did Schneider distribute these substances, but also took them in the presence of undercover officers and talked about buying them in large amounts for resale. One should point out that none of the captains or crew members shown on the program were charged in that arrest. The inquiry into this matter brought forth valuable findings. The authorities seized a huge quantity of substances, as well as $13,000 in cash. The estimated street value of the seized substances was around $80,000. This case illustrates the grave legal as well as personal consequences resulting from addiction and substance trade, even within the creatively artistic framework of a popular TV show. Sig Hansen, a popular personality on Deadliest Catch, came across an unpleasant surprise when accusations of physical harm came out in March 2017. The plaintiff, his daughter in her 20s, a lawyer from Seattle, filed a lawsuit against him that he had touched her immorally. The lawsuit was based on her memories of the harm, medical examinations, and a therapist's evaluation and findings from the State Child Protective Services, which concluded that Hansen probably mistreated his daughter in 1990 when she was just 2 years old. Hansen strongly objected to the accusations and claimed the medical and psychological findings were biased. Although prosecutors declined to prosecute Hansen criminally in April 2017, the civil case was still pending in court. The accusations against Hansen, a renowned personality associated with Deadliest Catch, drew much public interest and called into question the intricacies of family relations and claims of mistreatment. The lawsuit brought to light the difficulties of dealing with such delicate matters from both legal and personal angles. Though the legal accusations were dismissed, another member of the Deadliest Catch cast, Sig Hansen, had again experienced legal troubles in 2017. Hansen was taken into custody supposedly for misdemeanor attack and property damage charges related to an Uber driver after an incident. The charges indicated that Hansen had an argument with the driver and then had spat on the driver's head and had also kicked the outside of the car. In response to that, Hansen released a statement that contained his remorse and an apology for what he did. The actor admitted that he was terribly sorry, very embarrassed, and wanted to apologize to the Uber driver in person for his behavior. Hansen admitted that it was no alibi, but rather a boneheaded move on his part. Deadliest Catch gives audiences an exciting insight into crab fishing in the Bering Sea, famous for its challenging environment and high risks. Nevertheless, the risks that the show portrays notwithstanding, the fishing industry has come a long way in making safety improvements and reducing fatalities. Although crab fishing in the Bering Sea is still dangerous, it's not the most dangerous type of fishing. In reports between 2000 and 2014, the National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health highlighted that ground fishing, which includes species like cod and flounder in the eastern US coast, was the deadliest form of fishing. Atlantic scallop harvest was the second most deadly, with Dungeness crab fishing in the Pacific off the coasts of Oregon and Washington claiming the third spot. Overall safety conditions in the fishing industry have become better since the past. From 1990 to 2014, commercial fishing fatalities in Alaska dropped by 74%. Commercial fishing is the second most dangerous occupation after logging, implying the implementation of enhanced safety measures and reduction in the number of fatalities. These advancements attest to the continuous work of improving the safety guidelines and saving the lives of fishermen operating in extreme conditions. Throughout its run span, the show Deadliest Catch has experienced many catastrophic events. Some happened with the cast and some with the crew. Captain of the Cornelia Marie, Phil Harris, died in 2010 from a pulmonary embolism, which was a big hit to the show and the fishing business. In 2011, deckhand Justin Tennyson lost his life from the complications of sleep apnea, and this emphasized the physical stress and the health risks associated with the work. One more skipper, Tony Lara, had a heart attack in 2015, one of the many misfortunes that have befallen the show's contestants. The weirdest thing of all had nothing to do with the people on the show. Associate producer of the show, Joe McMahon, was fatally shot outside his home in Pasadena, California, in 2015. He was 25 when he died. Although the police could identify the suspect, they failed to make an arrest. Unfortunately, the suspect's body was found in the car the day after McMahon's death, possibly from a self-inflicted wound. The disaster cast upon the community of Deadliest Catch as a huge and unanticipated knock. Jake Harris, the son of the late Captain Phil Harris and an ex-Deadliest Catch crew member, had many trials off-camera. His trials have been accompanied by a long trail of legal issues and personal sufferings. In February 2010, while driving his BMW, Harris made the news when he crashed it in Seattle and left the scene. He was charged with hit and run, driving under the influence, and driving with a suspended license after he was arrested afterwards. Harris's involvement in this episode marked the start of the time of unrest in his life. A few months later, reports indicated that Captain Derek Ray from Deadliest Catch ship Cornelia Marie notified police that Harris could have been smoking while on the high seas. Authorities found prohibited items, but did not charge at the time. In November 2016, Harris reportedly was attacked and robbed, which left him with a cracked skull and brain injuries. This traumatic incident made things worse for him. In another incident, he was accused of stealing the vehicle and possession of the substances. It was disclosed that he had a car theft from a friend in Phoenix, and the police arrested for possession of substances. Nevertheless, in 2017, Harris did not show up to court, hence a bench warrant for his arrest was issued. In the year 2019, he was in yet another legal problem after getting into a confrontation with the park rangers in Skagit County, Washington. The logic was to bring Harris on pit stop, but he circumvented them, after which he engaged the state troopers to a chase. Eventually, Harris was restrained and displayed intoxication. A search of his car allegedly showed substances and a stolen shotgun. Consequently, Harris was sentenced to spend 18 months in prison. With multiple and diverse crimes committed by some cast members of Deadliest Catch over the years, Joshua Tell Warner, who joined the show in 2009, is one of the biggest criminals associated with the show. In 2010, the police of Eugene, Oregon, arrested Warner for his supposed participation in a set of bank robberies. He was suspected in the 2007 heist at a Washington Mutual Bank and also the April 2009 robbery at the Pacific Continental Bank, which was followed by a second robbery at the same bank that same month. A heist on a bank normally means that you have to hide out and stay mum, but Warner did neither. By 2010, the officials in the Oregon law enforcement had already noticed the likeness of Warner, one of the cast members in The Deadliest Catch, with the suspect in the bank robberies and had already issued an arrest warrant. Deadliest Catch cast members told CBS News that Warner even said to them that being on a popular reality show could be the worst way to keep his criminal past secret. KVAL news station reported about it. Only hours after the warrant was issued and disseminated to law enforcement agencies, East Peoria, Illinois, police arrested Warner on December 31, 2009. After his arrest, Warner was trialed and in the end sentenced to 9.5 years in prison. This unexpected twist of events gave the Deadliest Catch story another angle of uncertainty as fans found out about the criminal actions of one of the show's crew members. Breakout characters on hit TV shows often get to launch spin-off series which can make or break their careers, except in the case of the Hillstrand brothers from Deadliest Catch. In 2010, the Discovery Channel gave Jonathan and Andy Hillstrand their own show named Hill Stranded. The network filmed even the spin-off's footage. However, on the day for voiceovers and final production, the brothers were conspicuously absent. This unexpected vanishing was not something Discovery was happy with, and thus they sued the Hillstrands for $3 million. To this, the brothers chose to leave Deadliest Catch completely, taking the most adored Captain Sig Hansen with them. There was a reconciliation between the network and the talent, but this incident still painted a dark period for the Hillstrands. Their miseries were not yet over. The brothers now had to deal with additional problems because of the hefty settlement given to former crew member David Beaver Zielinski. The Seattle Post-Intelligencer reported that Zielinski got the verdict after getting hurt during the Hillstrand celebration of the 2013 Seattle Seahawks win. How did they celebrate? A seemingly harmless activity of setting off fireworks turned deadly on a boat. At the captain's order, Zielinski fired a mortar rocket which was given by the Hillstrands. Unfortunately, Zielinski was holding the firework when it exploded, giving him a very serious wound on his hand and forearm. Zielinski filed his lawsuit in 2015, and in 2017, a jury from King County awarded him $1.35 million in damages. This occurrence proves to be a moral lesson concerning the seriousness of innocent activities and the legal implications, even in festive situations. Reality TV typically has some level of manipulation to make the stories more dramatic. A quite usual thing for shows to do is edit conversations, change the scene's order, or to even stage some moments in order to have a more attractive storyline. However, in 2008, an episode of Deadliest Catch caused controversy over claims of fabrication. The Season 4 premiere showed the fishing vessel Wizard fighting giant waves during a storm and the crew dealing with flooding problems down below. The scenes were gripping, full of action, and left a picture of distress at sea. Yet, as per The Hollywood Reporter, these events did not occur at the same time as depicted in the series. It was revealed that the shots of the stormy waves were taken in October, while the shots of the flood incident happened a month earlier, in September. The discovery also put the show's authenticity regarding the events in question. A production outline unearthed by The Hollywood Reporter revealed that the show spliced footage from different days to create a more dramatic story. The line between reality and fiction became blurry. This disclosure caused outcry from the audience and the industry professionals who questioned the credibility of reality shows and moral implications of such editing strategies. Well, entertainment value of reality TV is widely known, but the case of Deadliest Catch demonstrated the need for transparency and authenticity in storytelling, particularly in the presentation of true events and experiences. Deadliest Catch remains a popular show among viewers, but Alaska seems to have a change of heart about the show, according to Alaska Dispatch News. The problem is with the implications of the highlighted boats on the rest of the Northern Crabbing Fleet's capability to survive. The funding, in total or portion, provided by the Discovery Channel for fishing expeditions has implications for crew who are not participating in the reality shows, thus making it hard for them to continue with their livelihoods. One of the outcomes of this dynamic is that some crews end up earning minimum wage despite the inherently risky nature of crabbing. The income gap has questioned the equity of the industry and the sustainability of crabbing as a profitable occupation. The hardship of the job, along with the low pay, have made it hard for non-Deadliest Catch crews to compete and survive in the industry. On the other hand, the show has provided the Discovery Channel with material for another aspect of the industry: the lives of retired fishermen who are struggling. The change in emphasis reveals the wider economic and social influence of the crabbing sector in Alaska. The intricate interplay of the show, the fishing industry, and the lives of those involved conveys the multidimensionality of the problems that the crabbing community in Alaska faces. Although attempting to dive into fresh crab meat drenched in melted butter, you won't find the fishermen of Deadliest Catch relishing in such delicacies on their boats. The primary reason is straightforward. Crabs are the very resource these courageous people risk their lives to catch. To reduce their profits would be unproductive if they had to consume their valuable catch. Apart from the practical consideration mentioned above, Captain Sig Hansen has also given another reason as to why crab is not a typical meal on the ship. He said that crab is too messy to eat on a boat, which means that the difficult conditions at sea make it inconvenient to have such a dish. In addition, the work they do is quite demanding, hence mealtime is not always a priority. During an interview with the Miami New Times, Hansen pointed out their diets while fishing were horrifying, emphasizing the spontaneity of their meals driven by their job. He underlined that fishing is what determines what they eat and when, saying, "You're not eating at regular times, it's hell." This point stresses how difficult life at sea can be, where comfort and convenience are left behind to cater to the job requirements. Many of the reality shows which have actors with rough characters and an extreme setting allow the crew to enjoy the comfort of not having to deal with the harsh conditions at the end of their day. However, The Deadliest Catch depicts a different case. As per associate producer Ryan McNeil's insights shared with How Stuff Works, the two-person video crews on the crab boats experience the same weather and rough seas as the fishermen. These are different because they never leave the boat, staying on board for the whole crab run that lasts for 3 to 5 weeks on average. This implies that they are always subjected to the elements and bound to the boat, having the same hardships and the same experiences as the fishing crew. This arrangement fosters a strong brotherhood between the fishing and film crews. Captain Wild Bill Witrowski has mentioned in an interview with the AV Club that roughly 85% of his co-workers became friends. He pointed out the highly intensive character of their working relationship, saying that they spend more time with the cameraman on the boat than with their own families. Their close proximity for extended periods of time, essentially living and working together 24/7 for 5 or 5.5 months, creates a bond that is either strengthened by mutual respect and friendship or strained by the mutual challenges they face. Environmental factors greatly impact Deadliest Catch, as raging storms, enormous waves, and very cold waters are daily threats to the crab boat crews. Climate change has re-entered the show's story in the most recent season as a new and important element. The Daily Mail reported that the executive producer, R. Decker Watson Jr., told how the 4-degree increase in water temperature forced crabs out of their traditional fishing grounds. Such a change has seen some vessels sail into even more hazardous areas, where storms are fiercer and rescue teams are further away. Although the series deliberately steers clear of political debates around climate change, Watson notes that both the production team and the crabbing crews have some kind of personal investment in the impact of environmental change on the fishing industry. He pointed out that all the actors are affected when environmental issues arise. Watson confessed his liking for creating the show, sharing the opinion of the team who are proud of what they'd done despite the difficulties imposed by the changing natural environment. Jared Seacrest had a remarkable guest appearance on Deadliest Catch in 2016, with Captain Wild Bill's Cape Caution team displaying his skills in the competitive world of commercial fishing. Nevertheless, he had several scandals in the show, and then legal problems occurred. The appearance of Seacrest on Deadliest Catch was tainted by an episode that added a lot of drama to the storyline. Although supposedly an expert crab catcher, Seacrest was criticized for his failure to distinguish between male and female crabs. The female crabs are out of bounds for harvesting in order to keep crab populations safe, and Seacrest almost paid a huge fine because of their incorrect identification of females. This accident underscored the high risks and complexities involved in commercial fishing, where one mistake may lead to grave consequences for both the crew and environment. Yet, Seacrest still had more problems to deal with. 3 years after his debut on TV, he had trouble on the ground with the law. The arrest of Seacrest by the Tampa, Florida police on a warrant for reckless driving led to an unexpected finding during his processing. The police found a small bag which contained powder on his person, which later was confirmed to be a substance. Seacrest was arrested for substance possession. After being in custody for 43 days, he was released. Regrettably, Seacrest's clashes with the law did not stop. Right after his release, he was accused of theft. As per the Tampa Police Department, Seacrest was charged with taking goods valued at over $1,300 from an IKEA store. This episode compounded his legal troubles and created more issues regarding his behavior and decisions unrelated to his fishing ventures. Jason Tennessee King, who gained popularity for his role as a deckhand on the Cornelia Marie under Deadliest Catch captains Josh Harris and Casey McManus, encountered many legal issues away from the show, which landed him with a large prison sentence. King's stay on the air aired as far back as 2015 and was however met with grave charges that carried stringent penalties. In April 2017, the law enforcement agencies raided King's home in Counce, Tennessee. The raid resulted in a large haul of substances weighing 14 pounds and one loaded firearm. Being in possession of such a large amount of substances is illegal, as well as having a firearm for people with a history of felony convictions. In July 2019, a judge in the Western District of Tennessee sentenced King to the maximum allowed by law, 51 months of prison. The statement highlighted the grave consequences of his actions and was a grim warning of the legal implications of criminal misconduct, notwithstanding the public status of the offender. The success of Deadliest Catch on the Discovery Channel doesn't come without its share of risks. In addition to the lethal hazards of fishing in the treacherous Bering Straits, there's the ever-present risk of nothing noteworthy happening, or even worse, of the crew missing a vital moment. To avoid missing out on any moment, every vessel has at least 4 remote cameras placed at critical points around the boat. These cameras are the eyes and ears that broadcast every nail-biting moment, from tremendous catches to terrifying storms. However, the real bet is on the numbers. The show's producers don't rely on a single boat. They use a fleet, filming more ships than they ultimately include in the final cut. This tactic, as disclosed in an interview with David Nui of Buddy TV in 2010, is a way for them to cover all bases and have enough engrossing content to keep the viewers hooked. In the end, in the world of reality TV, it's all about keeping the audience's hooks with the most dramatic storyline.